And on the phone with us right now is one of the best Laker fan accounts that I have to say. Not just like a best Laker fan account on Twitter. Entertaining. And by far the pettiest. Well advertised. You can follow him on Twitter at the Pettiest LA. It is none other than the pettiest Laker fan. Thank you so much for joining us here on Fair LA.
Yo, that's a great introduction. Honestly, that's probably the best one I've had so far. That's great.
Well, we feel special, and it's a pleasure having you on. I mean, that video that you produced and you sent out when the last one that you just produced that went viral when you know what I'm talking about, Zach.
The one where he was on vacation? Just kidding. I saw that one.
Clippers. The one with the Clippers. I couldn't get it out.
The Clippers one?
Yes.
Yeah, the Clippers one. That is me and David. By the way, shout out to my video editor, David. He's also like one of the driving forces behind everything I do. So I'd be remiss if I didn't give him a quick shout out before anything else. But yeah, the Clipper video is like our Sistine Chapel. Like that is that is our greatest achievement so far.
And you did it on the night that they got eliminated, June 30th. And if you guys want to know what he's talking about, then go on his page at the Pettiest LA. It's his pinned tweet, which is hilarious because obviously he's bagging on Reggie Jackson, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, even Marcellus Wiley. So go ahead and please check that out. The one thing that I like about your page is like you're doing something weekly with that video account, and it's like by far refreshing. I view it like something like what we're doing, but like obviously you're doing it from like the 2 or 3 minutes thing. But like, what made you like have that idea of just doing a quick like video recap for the Laker fans on Twitter?
You know what? It's funny. It really started as something more like cathartic for myself. Like we've all been sitting in this like terribly depressing like pandemic. Like our Lakers finally win a championship and we can't even celebrate it. Yeah. Like it's been a really rough time. And then in February, my platform grew to a point where I was like, you know what? I want to start using this because I was so tired of seeing the same like same type of content over and over again, not doing anything else, very cookie cutter. And that's the reason I really like what you guys are doing and like why I'm a big fan and watch you guys' show, because I like that you guys are including like a refreshing way to include like comedy and it, while being very introspective. So I appreciate that. So that's how it started, is just like for myself to like, you know, keep myself entertained, and it just became so much fun that I like now it's grew into like its own monster of itself.
There you go.
So.
Yeah. And it's so funny because I think we started following each other because one day you like actually asked on Twitter, you were like, who are the pettiest Laker fans that you know? And then somebody tagged us. I'm trying to remember who. And then like you're like, well, you were like, well, obviously I gotta follow my own kind. And I just want to clarify that like for the longest time, Mark has had the account. And Mark has like done hashtags of like certain players should sit down while they pee.
Yeah. I used to trash Jason Terry all the time. I mean, back in the day, if you go back to the beginning days, I think I started the account in 09 or 10. I can't remember, but I've been hashtagging Fair LA at least from 2008. And yeah, I was always, you know, if we lost, I trashed everybody. If we won, I still trashed everybody even more. So, you know, the pettiness is real here. And from one petty person to another petty Laker fan, you know, we love each other. This is love right here. This is love and respect.
Absolutely. I think the reason that too a lot of it resonates with people is because I feel like, you know, I have this kind of theory. Like I feel like to be great, you have to be petty. Like when you think about like that time that story that Dwayne Wade said about the time that he broke Kobe's nose, and Kobe was like, "Oh yeah, it's fine." And then when he played him like the next time, that he just like cooked him, like, and like to me, I just feel like that resonates with people because of like not only their favorite players are that way, but like on some level, we all like to have that feeling of like, "Ha ha, got you," you know?
Absolutely.
Okay, and I'm glad you brought up that example of Kobe because like, okay, Laker fans, Kobe is like known to have like some of the pettiest stories ever. Mark, your favorite story about Kobe is the Boston Celtics story, right?
The song that you listen to in the headphones?
Yeah. After the Lakers lose to the Boston Celtics in the 2008 finals, he does what?
Yeah, he listens to Can't Stop Believing before every game to get him back into that mindset before he goes out and destroys someone. And that's, you know, and he does that. And then it built up to the point where, you know, he was facing the Celtics again and he listened to it again before they played. And then, that, you know, the rest is history because they won that year. But Absolutely. Kobe Bryant's like one of the pettiest, though.
I think the reason why he was listening to that song was because that was the last song he heard as he was leaving the TD Waterhouse Garden in Boston. So, like, he heard that. He was like, okay, I'm going to capture this moment to live when I hit rock bottom.
While the crowd was chanting, "You're not Michael." I remember that.
Yeah, dude.
Exactly. And see, that's the stuff, too. And I'm the same way because I remember when my account was a lot smaller and, like, a lot of people who are, like, I've now passed in following, like, wouldn't follow me or not mess with me. And I remember every single person. Like, that's how petty I am. Like, this is not just a moniker or a joke. Like, I'm truly petty. But I'm always respectful. That's the difference. I'm not, like, one of these people who is just trying to, like, be corny. I think you have to be in comedy to actually be funny. I think you have to innovate, and you have to like act in good faith. You don't just take cheap shots just to do them. But at the same time, I will always take any opportunity to slander the Clippers. That is my MO though. So they don't count when I talk about not taking cheap shots.
It's almost like you have to. That's the tradition I enjoy. Like, it's funny because I have really close friends that are Clipper fans, and I told them, I told them, like, I want you guys to experience what it's like for your team to win. I just hate your team, and I don't want your team to win. But that's for this. I mean, for me, like, that's the real conflict. But as soon as the Clippers lost, I went, thank God the Clippers lost, because I did not want to see them win. I felt bad for my friends, but that's the one tradition that I want to continue, like, for the rest of our lives, is the Clippers being the Clippers.
Absolutely. And you know one thing to go along with that? The reason I never could support the Clippers is just because, like, before the Chris Paul trade, I never had any feelings about them, but the fact that, like, they were getting, even though, like, Lob City was completely, like, overrated and underachieved, like, the fact that Chris Paul in his prime was wasted there in those terrible red, white, and blue colors with, like, the worst owner in the history. It's just like a combination of just like disgusting things that just irk my very soul. So for me, it's like, it's not the Boston Celtics, but it's very close for me personally, just because of the Chris Paul trade. I think that's what made it, which isn't like necessarily their fault, but the fact that they decided to be in LA while that happened is just, that's their fault. So.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up because, like, I was kind of, like, for the Lob City movement up until Doc Rivers brought in Austin Rivers, and I was just like, this is a bad idea, dude. Like, seriously, like, that was the loser.
Work day?
Huh?
Bring your kid to work day.
Your kid to work. It was. It pretty much was.
It was bring your kid to work. Yeah, no, I just felt as if, like, with Doc, like, bringing Austin, and by the way, I'm, like, a North Carolina fan, so, like, I never liked Austin Rivers. I just knew he hit the wall, like, he hit his ceiling, and the only thing that resurrected his career in some sense was the fact that Doc brought Austin then, and I hate nepotism. Like, I've dealt with nepotism all my life in different work areas. It's never been beneficial to me. It's always been beneficial to the other people that cut me off in a certain area. And it was just with Austin Rivers' team that I was like, I know he's going to ruin the Clippers championship some way, somehow.
See, and that's a petty energy I love to hear. Like, hold that for the rest of your life. See Austin Rivers in a bar someday and just, like, look at him like he stole your girlfriend. You know what I mean?
I mean, he got the, what was it? He didn't even get the first take. It was like he kind of got Paul George's. Sorry, that was Paul George left his sister for the stripper.
Oh my goodness! Ooh, that's real petty.
Yeah. Now let me ask you this: do you have something cooking for the NBA Finals for the loser?
Oh, me? Of course. You guys know that every time a team gets eliminated, that we get a Coach Carter send-off. So that is a lot of people. Everyone who follows my work, they know that anytime a team gets eliminated, the Coach Carter send-off is coming out, and we definitely have a good one prepared for this. I think for a Lakers fan, there's no higher apex than like Celtics or Clippers getting eliminated, but this one's really funny. So if the Suns go out tonight, you guys can expect a great funny video tonight. So
I'm so looking forward.
We're on the phone right now with the Pettiest Laker fan. You can follow him on Twitter at the Pettiest LA, and there could possibly be a video drop if the Phoenix Suns lose tonight against the Milwaukee Bucks in the NBA Finals. So real quick, we're just gonna segue into the offseason. Mark and I have been talking in the last few episodes about what the Lakers should do in the offseason moves. How do you feel about the Lakers trading Kyle Kuzma? Does that make sense to you? And if so, like, what are the destinations that do make sense?
So this is kind of like a very double-fold question for me because, like, there's an aspect of it. One, I don't hate Kyle Kuzma the way that other people do. I think some of the lofty expectations he put on himself have made, like, a lot of people, and also how great he started out as a Laker. Like, you could almost say, like, he peaked in summer league, like how great he's been. Like, you know what I mean? When he first started out, like, so I don't hate him the same way. So I wouldn't be mad. Like, I wouldn't be mad if he stayed. I think he's developed into a great player. But, like, the reason it's double-fold for me is because I'm, like, team bring Lonzo back to the Lakers. He's a perfect fit for what we're doing. And I'm, like, ready to move heaven and earth to get that guy here. So if we need to, like, trade, like, Kyle Kuzma to Siberia, let's do it.
Which I think it's pretty much what I suggested too. I was like, just get him away. Just get him away, him and his noodle hair or whatever, when he bleaches his hair, funky colors or whatever. But yeah, I'm one of those where I'm like, I'm not a big, like, I was a big fan of Kyle Kuzma. I just felt like I needed more consistency from him. And, you know, I understand the guy wants a bigger role and he'll give you what we expect by having a bigger role. But I'm like, can he just do that in those, and within this time on the court? Like, I don't know. Was he ever frustrating to you watching him play?
Absolutely. I think it's very frustrating because the reason he's so frustrating is because whenever you have a conversation about Kyle Kuzma, probably up until this last year, where people are like, oh, he's bottomed out. Like, it was always about potential. Like, we've seen him score 30 points against the Rockets. Like, we've seen him when he's, like, free flowing. But I just didn't understand, like, okay, you want a bigger role, but what happened when AD and LeBron went down? That was your chance to really be like, okay, I'm going to put this team on my back and I'm going to score. And maybe that's some of, Frank Vogel not, necessarily using him correctly. I think there's a lot to be said about some of the rotations and the way that he was used. But also, like, he didn't handle business when he had the opportunity. He's right about his role always changing. I think everyone who is really locked in with, like, the Lakers knows that. But just the actual, like, his production when he was in that role this season was very subpar.
And look, like, here, like, you can get this comment after I make this real quick, but I just feel like, again, I don't hate Kuzma. I just think he's hit his ceiling with the Lakers. Like, I think he's hit his ceiling, and I don't feel as if, like, when you put him in the trade market, you can actually expect something of a Julius Randle, of a Brandon Ingram, of all the Lakers that have gone on and been an all-star or a sixth man of the year in Jordan Clarkson. I think when you go, you don't need to trade him to Sacramento for Buddy Hield straight up. That doesn't make any sense. I would say he's going to prosper, and maybe you can get a Zach LaVine for him. Maybe you can get a DeMar DeRozan. Maybe you could get another all-star for him.
I know you can't get one straight up, but I definitely see that the potential of getting that in a trade. I just think that the market for Kyle Kuzma is kind of low, not because he underperformed, but just kind of like people have the same way that we're looking at him as Laker fans because we have a close eye. I feel like that's the same way other teams are looking at him like, man, I see something there, but I just don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, and that's the thing. Like, I know I was saying straight up, I'm not that delusional either. Like, as much as the Laker fans want to get rid of him and trade him for Buddy Hield, I'm like, you can have a piece, like, maybe I love KCP, but like if you try to get a Zach LaVine, then how can KCP get numbers with Zach LaVine in the lineup? Or if you got I don't know, like, I was seeing other trades. I would never trade Kuzma for Kyle Lowry. That doesn't make any sense to me, you know?
Yeah, not for the future of the Lakers. I think, but at the same time, there's the debate for saying we need to maximize the years that LeBron James is still going to be great, and Kyle Lowry fits that timeline because Kyle Lowry he has a couple years left, but those last couple years are going to be difficult. So I can understand that, like, because they need to do something. I think what the Lakers need more than anything, regardless of what name it is somebody who can create their own shot and create shots for others. If we get someone who can do that professionally, whether it's all the way from, like, to me the lowest level of that of being like DeMar DeRozan. I think he fits perfectly for what we need. Though I'm not necessarily a fan, and I know a lot of people aren't. But all the way to, like I said, my perfect situation is the Lakers are able to get Lonzo. I think he fits perfectly. I think he would unlock some of AD the way that he passes, and I think that he played amazing next to LeBron. Like, people always forget that he played amazing. But yeah, let me get off my soapbox.